Hi, I'm Dee and I have multiple sclerosis. One thing that really helps my confidence as much as anything else is yoga. And I've been doing some research and I've had a chat with my yoga teacher, Ali, about what is so good about yoga for people with MS. I'm delighted to welcome my lovely yoga teacher, Ali, from Ali Asana Yoga, who's going to talk about the benefits of yoga for MS. So firstly, Ali, could you please let us know why you might recommend yoga for somebody with MS?
Definitely. So when we practice yoga, it's a whole practice. It can be a 10-minute practice, it can be half an hour, it can be 2 hours long, but it's a whole practice which is on a practical level very beneficial for people who suffer with MS or who have been diagnosed with MS, because the practice of yoga, the deep breathing, the mindfulness, the positive affirmations, the positive intentions, they work with the central nervous system and they help to calm the central nervous system down. So it's very anti-inflammatory to the system. It's also helps to regulate the central nervous system. So your central nervous system responds to inflammation, it responds to stress or anxiety rather than reacts to it. And that's what yoga brings to us, because it teaches us how to breathe in a very calm and extended manner. And what that then does is it changes the physiology of how we breathe and then our central nervous system, which is perfect for anybody who has been diagnosed with MS.
Yoga can help our physical function in many ways. My research has given me lots of these ways, so excuse me for reading this. It helps to improve balance, reduce pain, increase lung capacity, reduce fatigue, improve bladder function, improve strength and flexibility, which is fantastic. It also helps to improve and strengthen our neural pathways. As I talked about before in my video, Diagnosed with MS, our central nervous system consists of billions of neurons, these cells here, and they are interconnected in a really complicated web to form loads of neural pathways. So a neural pathway, for example, might be a signal coming from the end of this neuron through this neuron and then onto the next neuron and then through that neuron and then onto the next neuron. Our brain uses about 20% of all of our energy, but it's also a very efficient organ. So where those neural pathways are not needed anymore, it won't continue to strengthen them. And that's why I think it's really important to keep getting my body into all these positions with intricate detail that involve lots of different parts of my body, to keep impressing upon my brain that those neural pathways are still needed and they do still need to be strengthened.
Because one of the symptoms of an autoimmune disorder, whatever it is, it can change the sensations in the body. So it can bring numbness, it can bring pins and needles, but it also affects your spatial awareness. So when we do yoga and we concentrate on being in a specific position, what it helps to do for our brains and our bodies and our nervous system, it helps to retrain our body to recognize maybe where our feet are, maybe where our hands are, in relation to movement or stillness. So if we're holding a position for a period of time and we're breathing deeply, our body then begins to settle and begins to feel safe. Because when we're in an autoimmune flare-up, maybe, our body goes into fight, flight, and feels very uncomfortable and becomes very reactive. So you don't feel safe, which means your body can't heal and rest. So our bodies are either in a position of defense or we're in a rest and heal mode. And our bodies can't do the two at the same time. So if we are reacting to losing sensation in our hands or our feet, if we're reacting to a sensation, whether it be burning, pins and needles, itching, whatever it is, our body automatically reacts and goes into defense mode, because it goes into a bit of a panic because it doesn't know what's happening, or where my feet are, or where my hands are. But when we learn in yoga to stay and find the stillness and breathe through the stillness, it then changes and educates our body and our mind to become resting, nurtured, and healing. So that's where, and it's a physiological change that happens within the brain. So it helps us find our body again, if you will.
Ali was talking there about our nervous system, and just to go into a bit more detail, our nervous system is split up into our somatic nervous system. This is under conscious control, and this requires a decision. So for example, if you decide to move, that will be under the control of your somatic nervous system. But you also have your autonomic nervous system constantly working away in the background. This is under subconscious control. Auto means self-controlled, so it's involuntary. You don't have to think about your heart beating, for example. Your autonomic nervous system is split into two parts. The sympathetic nervous system, this increases breathing and heart rate, inhibits digestion, and it's linked to the fight or flight response. So, for example, I was once chased by an African elephant. My breathing rate increased and my heart rate increased, and that was in order to release as much energy as possible to make sure I could run the fastest I've ever run in my entire life, and I did. It also inhibited my digestion. It wanted to divert all the energy away from the digestion process, which takes a lot of energy. This overall is our stress response, and it's there to save our life. For example, if we're being chased by an elephant or chased by a tiger. However, in modern life, this kicks in quite a lot these days, maybe if it looks like we might not make a deadline, or if we've just finished work and we're rushing to try and collect the children on time. That also stimulates the sympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system decreases our breathing and heart rate. It increases digestion, and it generally calms us down. It's the opposite to the stress response. And it's this that we really want to encourage, to stimulate much of the time. Yoga has been proven to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. And that links really well to the fact that as people with MS, as well as everybody else on the planet, we really need to monitor our stress levels. Stress has an inflammatory response in the body, and that in turn worsens the effects of MS, and it has been linked to causing new lesions. Thankfully, the effect of yoga on the parasympathetic nervous system has been shown to reduce stress, to reduce depression, reduce anxiety, and lower the blood pressure. When I was first diagnosed with MS, I read this book, the Overcoming Multiple Sclerosis book. It was brilliant. It is full of tips, evidence-based advice, I should say, for living well with MS. For things that we can do to reduce the progression of the disease or even halt it. And what I really liked about it is that it explained the science behind it. And for me, if I know the science behind it, that really helps me to commit to those steps needed. One of the things I found most upsetting when reading this, and it quite surprised me actually that it was the thing that upset me the most, was the fact that MS can cause a decline in cognitive function. It was once widely believed that after childhood we couldn't grow more neurons. But now we know otherwise. The region of the brain that has been proven to be able to grow more neurons is the hippocampus. This area of the brain is associated with memory. It has been proven that people who do yoga regularly have an increased volume of their hippocampus, That means they're more able to remember things. So that surely is going to help us combat that reduction in cognitive function. And actually, the increased volume of the hippocampus is true for lots of different types of exercise. So exercise in general is really, really good for our memory. Yoga has also been proven to increase the volume of increase the thickness, in fact, of the cortex, the outer layer, and that's responsible for higher order thinking, like decision making, for example. So in fact, yoga can really help us reduce the negative impact of MS on our cognitive function. And if there's anybody out there who's thinking about taking up yoga, but they're not quite sure what a yoga class is like, would you mind describing one of your classes, please?
Yeah, that's fine. So my classes, everybody's yoga class is slightly different. But most yoga classes, particularly mine, we always start at the beginning with maybe 5 or 10 minutes of quiet time, of coming into our breath, coming into our body, coming into that yoga space where you do feel safe before you even do anything. So we come to sit in on our mats, or we come to sit in on a chair if that's better for you. I have ladies that come to my classes who find it really difficult getting up and down off the floor, so they do chair yoga in a class with everybody else might be on the mats. So we start off our first 10 minutes with breathing techniques, just bringing us into the awareness of our bodies and what we want to maybe get out of our practice today. So we always set an intention, which is personal to everybody in the class. You'll know what you feel on that particular day. If you might be exhausted, you might be energetic, you might be happy, you might be sad. So whatever your intention is, I mean, I spent years with the same intention when I first started yoga, and that was always to just find calm in the body, to relax, to heal, and to nurture myself. And it helped me heal without really having to. It's sort of a bit like a passive therapy. So a lot of people go to yoga for movement or exercise, but actually what you get out of it is that the first 10 minutes is the settling time to bring in what that yoga practice is for you as an individual. And then we move on to asana practices, and that can be anything from 20 minutes to 45 minutes. It varies in what we do. Sometimes we do 3 breath yoga, so we stay in each position for 3 full breaths before moving. Sometimes we do a flow class, which is quite energetic and brings more energy and flow to the body. And then the end 10 minutes before we finish, we do something called Shavasana, which is a relaxation posture where basically it's the easiest posture to do because you're lying on the floor and you're just absorbing your practice. It's beautiful. It's really nice. Deep relaxation, breathing, really absorbing what the yoga has brought to you today and your intention that you set at the beginning of the class. And that's the time sometimes when the body and the mind begin to heal, to nurture, to absorb what's happened. The energy begins to settle, the body and the mind become very calm and very peaceful. And then very slowly and gradually I bring everybody out of the Shavasana relaxation, and then we just close the session with maybe 2 or 3 minutes of just affirmations into coming back to where we are. And also we use hand mudras. So mudras are shapes that you make with your body or your hands, and they can work with pressure points on the hands or the body, and they help to create energy in the body where maybe there's some stuck or some sticky energy. It works with the physical body, so it can really help with people who have headaches or suffer with migraine, people who have gut issues, people who maybe are in an acute panic moment, to just bring them down and calm them down. So we use a lot of mudras in my classes, and I don't do a lot of spirituality all at once, but I bring spirituality into every single class so that it's there for people to just have a little taster of that, and then we build on that each week and we have a theme, and It's lovely. It's really nice. And some people come and they, you know, if you want to come and lie down for an hour and not do any practice of the asanas, that is fine. And you'd be very welcome. You know, some people do 20 minutes and then rest for another 10. So it's very open, very free, and very welcoming to any age, ability, shape, size. Everything is welcome and included.
And actually what I was about to ask next is really related to that. What would you say to somebody who's feeling a bit daunted about coming to a yoga class, maybe because they've never been before, or maybe because they have a disability, or maybe because actually they don't consider themselves very spiritual? What would you say to them?
I would say the hardest part of yoga and the hardest thing to do is to walk through the door. Once you've walked through the door, you've done yoga. So anybody can do yoga, because yoga is, there's lots and lots of elements to yoga, and sometimes it's just sitting and meditation, and we meditate for 10-15 minutes. Sometimes it's practicing a practical class and doing asanas. Other times you can do different types of yoga where, you know, you can go on a meditation retreat and it's silent and you don't speak for a week or a month or whatever you want to do. So there is a type of yoga for everybody. But the main thing is, before you come to the class, if you have any worries or concerns, speak to the teacher. Give them a ring, email them. I mean, anybody can call me, they can email me, they can call me, they can get me on Facebook, you know, and teachers should be open and willing to have that conversation with you, and then you will know either whether you bond with that teacher straight away, whether that teacher is right for you, but also you should feel comfortable, you should feel confident, and you should feel welcome to go to a class. And if you don't want to go to a class where there are other people, all yoga teachers do private one-to-ones, or they do a family group. Particularly with lockdown, you can do family groups and bubbles, you know. So don't be put off by being nervous, because I guarantee 100%, have a chat with the teacher first, and then hopefully that teacher will make you feel welcome and safe and secure, and that's what it's about. But if you don't get that feeling, there will be another teacher that is perfect for you, where you will get that, and they may signpost you to a different class that might be better for you. But yeah, as I say, I have ladies that come to my class who find it really difficult to get up and down off the floor, so I bring them a chair, and they do the whole class sat on a chair, which is fine. I have some people that come with injuries, so they can't do the class, so they may do the first 15 minutes and then meditate for the next 45 and just sit and be quiet, you know. And I always start my classes off by saying, if you want to just come and sit for an hour and just be with like-minded people to gain some positive energy and do nothing apart from have an hour out away from whatever it is you want to come away from, then you can come, you know, come for, doesn't matter, you can come for weeks and weeks and weeks and never do a posture if you don't want, and just join in with the breathing techniques, the meditation, the relaxation, you know. And every teacher should make you feel welcome, and you should be able to come, and all postures are adaptable for every ability, you know. My hamstrings are tight, they're still tight, and I've been practicing, 10-15 years, you know. So don't even think about, I can't touch my toes, or I can't, you know, I can't reach over here, I'd never be able to do that, my balance is rubbish. So it doesn't matter, because yoga is about you, it's not about me. It's not about me, it's about you as an individual. And one of my favorite sayings is, comparison is the thief of joy. So never compare yourself, just come and do exactly what's right for you on that day.
And I think that's what I was going to add to that, actually, is it's not competitive in any way, is it? We're not in yoga class looking over thinking, you know, I'm putting this posture better than that person, or I wish I could do it like that person. That's not the ethos of yoga at all. It's
not
just about doing what you can do. And if there are particular postures that for whatever reason that day you don't feel up to, it's fine to just stop for that bit, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. We have a posture called child's pose, which is available to anybody at any point. So you can just come down into that. You can lie down if you want, or you can just pause, take a minute. Some people leave the class to come back because quite often, because we're working through our bodies and our bodies hold emotion and tension, quite often it can make you feel emotional. And that is normal. I don't think out of everybody, I mean, I've been practicing for, as I say, over 10 years. And I don't think I've met a yogi yet who hasn't cried either before, during, or after a yoga class, and it's normal, and that's why it's sort of a moving therapy. So if you're not a talking person or you don't want to do that, it just helps your body release what it needs to release. And there is only one of you. There's only one body and one skeleton and one human being that is the same as you in the entire world, and that is just you. So why should you be able to do the same as somebody else? Because their body's different. So yeah, it's nothing to do with ego, nothing to do with anybody else. It's not about being, I think one of my minor little bugbears about yoga at the minute is that it is so prevalent on Instagram, and Instagram is all about image and all about shapes and looking beautiful, and really that isn't yoga. So, and that to a point is what puts people off and frightens people about yoga, because they think when they see people on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, quite often people think that, well, if you don't look like that, you can't do yoga because that's what yoga's about. And it's actually the complete opposite. It's actually about just coming and having those 60 minutes to yourself to get out of it what you need to get out of it and what is right for you. It's not about, I mean, you could come with, blinkers on if you wanted, because it's just about you and your body, and that's all. So don't ever be put off when you see people and, they can do the splits or they can get the foot around the back of the head, and that's not what it's about. And they are the minority, not the majority. The majority are normal, everyday people like you and me, and most people who come to yoga have got something going on, and that's why they're here, so don't ever feel that, if you did have a diagnosis of MS and you came, you would have a label on going, well, you've got something and that's why I've come. We're all sick across the world. We're all sick, and we're all a work in progress. So come to yoga and be a work in progress. That's my philosophy.
Thank you so much, Ali. It's been absolutely lovely to see you, and thank you very much. I really hope those answers will help people.
Me too. And if anybody does have any questions that we haven't answered or that they want to ask, feel free to get in touch with you or with me or whoever. We'll see what we can do to help.
Thank you. I personally would recommend yoga to everybody. I think Ali's advice about getting in touch with a teacher is really good advice. But to add to that, there are videos of yoga that you could have a go with on the Overcoming Multiple Sclerosis website, MS UK and the MS Trust websites. So give it a go. One thing I really love to do is put on my earbuds, go outside and do some yoga that way. The music I find really inspires me. I've been working on this playlist for quite a few years now, and I find that I end up doing more and more yoga just so I can listen to more and more songs. So I've put a link to the playlist just in case you happen to find it useful at the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching.